I think it's extremely important to have Duo available to the dance community. The dance community is so large. It continues to grow. It covers such a broad spectrum, so many different kinds of artists than there were 10, 20, 30 years ago. But it's still very underserved. Dance artists are still, in many cases, nickel and diming their productions. They need to pay artists who need to train every day. The list of needs is long. An artist still requires basic administrative support to get from A to B. It's one thing to have an idea and feel the absolute impulse to be an artist, but how that work gets translated to an audience with the dancers and designers and creators around still requires an enormous amount of support.
I think it's madly important. And I have a daughter who's in dance in Montreal, and she grew up with me, doing all this stuff and talking about grants and all that sort of thing. But even she will still call me up and say, well, what do I do about this? And to have a resource where you can ask questions about what's a review engagement, or why do I need to balance my budget here and not there, and not having to try and figure it out on your own is extraordinarily valuable. And also it puts, the smart thing about it, and the thing that they figured out in the OAC years ago, is that you're giving money to artists to create art and to present that to the public. If what you're also asking them to do is to figure out all that other stuff, which they can do, but it's taking away from the art making. So it's actually an incredibly good use of public funds to have this available to people. And it also brings people together in different ways. In the office here, you'll run into someone who's a tap dancer, or whose work is from the Afro-Caribbean community or from the classical ballet community, and you're never going to necessarily meet them in any other way or any other time. So aside from just the, helping with the hard, facts about the case, or what's happening at various arts councils, it's a community hub, and I think that's great too.
Having an organization like Duo available to the dance community, I think, is incredibly important. As artists work in this very kind of gig economy, there's more and more times when they're putting together a show, you're doing an application, you're trying to be all things to all people, which is virtually impossible. And the services that we provide really help create that sort of support system, even temporary, a support system that you need as you're trying to create and do things. You don't want to be stuck at midnight or 1 in the morning after doing a long day of rehearsals and creating and doing everything else, trying to do your social media, trying to do your bookkeeping, trying to figure out the accounts. I think that's where Duo's services are really, really important.